Jake Thomas lived a quiet life on Mars Colony 3. He liked silence, books, and his small garden of earth plants. His house sat at the edge of the colony, far from the busy markets and noisy spaceports. Nothing ever happened out there. Until something did. One morning, just before sunrise, Jake saw a large silver transport ship land across the street. A tall figure stepped out, covered in a long black cloak. It moved slowly, almost too smoothly, like it didn't belong in this world. The air around. It shimmered for a second like heat rising from metal, and then it walked into the empty house next door. Jake had a new neighbor. For the next 2 days, no one saw her face. No one saw her speak. No one even heard a sound from her house. The lights flickered blue late at night. And the trees in her backyard? They grew 3 inches taller in just one day. Something wasn't normal. Jake told himself to ignore it. He wasn't curious. He wasn't stupid. But on the 3rd night, he saw her. It was raining lightly, a rare thing on Mars 3. Jake stepped out to cover his plants. That's when he noticed her standing at the edge of her yard. Her cloak was gone. She wore a dark, smooth outfit that shimmered like liquid metal. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes glowing soft violet. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She just watched him. Jake froze. He wanted to say something, maybe just a polite hello, but his throat dried up. He turned away, pretending he didn't see her. The next morning, he found something strange on his front door. A symbol burned into the metal like a spiral made of light. He touched it. It was warm, too warm. He checked his security cam. It showed static from midnight to 2 a.m. Then it just restarted. Someone had erased it. Later that day, while checking his mail, Jake finally saw her again. This time she spoke. "You don't need to be afraid," she said softly. Her voice didn't match her alien form. It was calm, gentle, almost human. "I'm Lyra," she said. "I won't cause harm. I'm only here for 1 cycle." "1 cycle of what?" Jake asked, trying to keep his voice steady. She looked at him. Her eyes glowed brighter. "You'll see." She turned and walked away. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about her eyes, her voice, the strange heat on his door. He didn't believe in ghosts or fate or magic, but something about Lyra made his skin buzz. Around midnight, his screen blinked. Incoming message. Unknown source. One word appeared, "Run." Then it disappeared. Jake jumped up. He checked all his doors and windows. Nothing. Silence outside. But then a low hum started. Faint, like wind, but deeper. It was coming from Lyra's house. He peeked out the window. She was in her backyard, floating 2 feet above the ground. Her arms were spread. Her body glowed with blue light. Symbols ran across her skin like living tattoos. The wind around her spun fast, even though the trees didn't move. Then she screamed, not in pain. It sounded like a signal. A call. The hum stopped. Lyra collapsed to the ground. Jake rushed outside before he could stop himself. "Are you okay?" he shouted. She looked up at him slowly. Her skin flickered between silver and dark gray. "It's starting," she whispered. "What's starting?" She grabbed his hand. That's when he felt it. A sharp burn shot through his palm. He pulled away, but it was too late. A glowing mark appeared where she had touched him. "You're marked now," she said. "Marked for what?" Lyra looked into his eyes. "Mating season." Jake stumbled back. "What are you talking about?" No, I didn't agree to." "You don't choose," she said. "The bond does." She stood up. Her body seemed stronger now, taller. The mark on Jake's hand pulsed with light. "I came here to stay hidden," she said. But the moment I saw you, the bond awoke. Jake backed away. I didn't ask for this. No one does. She replied. But now, if you leave, you die. Jake stared at her in shock. What had just happened? What had he been pulled into? All he knew was, this wasn't just a strange neighbor. This was the start of something much, much bigger. And it wasn't over yet. Jake didn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the glowing mark on his palm. It pulsed. Like a second heartbeat, soft and steady, but wrong. His body felt warmer. His thoughts louder. Like a whisper was stuck inside his head, and that whisper had her voice. If you leave, you die. That sentence haunted him. By morning, Jake had made up his mind. He was going to report this. He opened his comlink and searched for the colony's authority number. But just as he tapped the screen, BZZT. Error. Line blocked. Strange. He tried another emergency link. Same thing. All channels blocked. Jake's heart started pounding. He rushed to the door to head to the local admin building. But the moment he stepped outside, the sky above, the colony turned red. Not naturally. Not like a Mars dust storm. No, this was different. A giant warning dome had been activated across the area. A holographic net shimmered high above, locking the entire town in a tight, invisible cage. Colony lockdown in effect. No exit or entry permitted. Reason. BIO threat level red. Biothreat? Jake's skin turned cold. As he stared at the warning, his comlink suddenly buzzed. A message appeared, but not from the colony. Not from any contact he recognized. It had no name, no source. Just a glowing blue box. It said, "She chose. You must stay inside." Then another line appeared. "If she bonds completely, you are no longer human." Jake's hand trembled. He tapped the screen to reply, but it vanished before he could type a word. In the distance, he saw Lyra standing in her window, watching him. She didn't blink. That night, Jake decided to confront her. He couldn't keep guessing. He needed the truth. He stormed to her door and knocked hard. "Lyra, open up." No answer. He banged again. "I'm serious. I need answers now." The door creaked open, but no one stood there. Jake stepped inside slowly. The air inside her house was warm, too warm. It smelled like burning flowers and something electric. "Lyra?" He called out. She appeared behind him without sound. "You're changing," she said quietly. Jake jumped. "Don't do that." She looked at his hand. "It's spreading." He looked down. The mark had grown. The glowing spiral now reached his wrist. "What is this? Some kind of curse?" She shook her head. "No, it's a signal. Your body is responding to mine." Jake took a step back. "I didn't agree to this." "The bond doesn't care," she said. "My people, we don't mate like humans. We don't fall in love. We connect. Through energy. Through instincts. Through biology and memory." Jake shook his head. "This is insane. You're saying I'm becoming like you? Not like me," she whispered. "Something between hybrid, new. No, I want out of this." She looked at him with something close to sadness. "There is no way out. The bond is started. If we don't complete it, we both die. Slowly, painfully." Jake clenched his fists. "Then why me?" Lyra stepped closer. "Because my cycle was triggered the moment I saw you. Something in you matched something in me." "I'm not your experiment," he said, stepping back. Suddenly, her eyes flashed. She looked up sharply. "They're coming." "Who?" Jake asked. She didn't answer. She ran to the window, placed her palm against the glass. Her body lit up, glowing veins appearing across her neck and arms. Her voice dropped to a whisper. They found me. A loud boom echoed. Outside, Jake rushed to the door and looked out. 4 black drones hovered above his house. Red lights blinked under them. A warning blared. Subject 22B detected. Dangerous cross-species interaction in progress. Evacuation protocol denied. Human host is compromised. Jake stared in horror. They're talking about me. Another drone descended near Lyra's yard. It extended a scanning beam toward her home. Jake turned to Lyra. What do they want? To stop me. To stop us, she said, now pacing. They know what happens if the bond completes. Jake swallowed. And what does happen? Lyra looked at him directly. Her eyes were glowing again. If the bond completes, I become strong enough to call my kind back. And you become the first of your kind. A bridge. Jake stepped away. No, I didn't sign up to be some alien half-thing. A pause. Then she whispered. Too late. Suddenly, a burst of blue light exploded in the street. A team of armored soldiers appeared, teleporting in. They wore no colony badges. These were private, secret, blackguard units, the ones used for dangerous alien captures. Target locked, one of them said, raising a weapon. Lyra didn't run. Instead, she stepped forward. Her body began to shimmer. I warned them, she said. The soldiers fired. But the bullets never hit. A pulse of pure energy exploded from her body, throwing the men back like dolls. Their weapons shorted out. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the air. Lyra collapsed, breathing hard. Jake rushed to her. What are you doing? You'll kill them. She looked up at him. You're the only one keeping me human, she said. Jake stared at the fallen soldiers, at his glowing hand, at her silver skin. This was no longer about neighbors. This was war, and he was in the middle of it. Jake ran. Not away from her, but toward something he didn't understand. The moment the blackguard soldiers were thrown back by Lyra's energy pulse, alarms blared across the colony. Drones flew. Overhead, flashing red. The lockdown field above the sky pulsed brighter, tighter trapping everyone inside. Inside, with her. Inside, with him. Jake and Lyra were now marked. Together. And the world wanted them apart. Back inside her house, Lyra collapsed on the floor, her breath shallow, her skin flashing between pale silver and deep gray. Jake pulled her into a chair. You didn't have to attack them. She winced. They weren't going to let me live. He grabbed a towel, wiped blood from her lip, though she wasn't bleeding. Her skin oozed light, not red. Then let me help you, he said, eyes shaking with fear. Lyra opened her eyes slowly. You already are. Jake sat beside her, confused and angry. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like I'm burning from the inside. My thoughts aren't mine. My heart's racing even when I sit still. I dream in your voice. I hear you even when you're silent. Lyra leaned forward. Because we are connected now. The bond is halfway. Jake stood. No, I didn't agree to this. I'm human, she nodded weakly. For now. He slammed his fist on the wall. What does that mean? She looked up, her voice soft. It means if we do not complete the bond, the energy will overload and destroy us both. You're already changing, Jake. Whether you want it or not. Jake's hand throbbed. The mark on his palm now wrapped around his wrist, crawling up toward his forearm like glowing vines. Outside, the blackguard soldiers regrouped. More were coming. Jake looked at her. What do they want with you? She looked down. They want to erase me. My people are banned. We were labeled as unstable dangerous. Our mating bonds caused changes in the host species. Governments feared we'd contaminate evolution. Jake laughed bitterly. So now I'm contaminated? You're becoming more, she whispered. Suddenly, the ground shook. A tremor. The colony. Lights flickered. A shadow passed overhead. Jake rushed to the window. A massive ship, black, sleek, and silent, hovered above the dome. Not human, not colony-made, and not friendly. It didn't fire. It waited. Jake turned to Lyra. That's not one of ours, is it? No, she said, eyes wide. It's one of theirs. Theirs? She stood, struggling. My kind. They heard the bond signal. It spread through me when we touched. I couldn't stop it. Jake swallowed hard. So you just invited an alien fleet to our doorstep? She nodded. If we complete the bond, I can talk to them. If not, they may see this colony. As a threat? Jake paced. We have no time. Those soldiers out there will break in soon. Your people above might start a war. She looked at him. Then finish it. Jake turned slowly. What? She took his hand. Let the bond complete. Let the energy join. Let the change finish. Jake's heart pounded. What happens? To me? Lyra stared into his eyes. You'll stop being only human and start being something stronger. He backed away. And if I say no? She looked down. Then I die. And you follow. Jake stepped away from her, holding. His head, the glowing marks on his skin, now shimmered with a soft blue pulse. His breath came in short gasps. What if this is all a trick? He whispered. What if this is just some alien game? She stood. Then why would I bleed for you? Why would I warn you? Why would I fight my own kind to protect a species that fears me? He looked at her, and for the first time, he saw it. Not an alien, not a monster, but someone alone, someone tired, someone who didn't choose this either. Suddenly, the front wall exploded. Smoke, light, noise. The blackguard teens stormed in, 5 men in full gear. Laser sights. Electric nets. Hostile contact identified, one shouted. Jake stood between them and Lyra. Wait. Get down, citizen, they barked. Jake didn't move. I'm not letting you touch her. The lead soldier raised his weapon. He's compromised. Both are. Lyra stepped forward. Her hands glowed. Jake shouted, no more fighting. The soldiers fired the net. Jake jumped in front of it. The net wrapped around his body. The charge surged through him, but nothing happened. The net melted. The energy from his skin burned through the wires. He looked up. His eyes glowed. Faint blue. The soldiers froze. One whispered, he's already hybrid. Jake stood, unarmed. We didn't attack you. You came to kill something you didn't understand. The soldiers hesitated. The leader clicked his comlink. Headquarters. We've got a problem. He's not human anymore. Outside, the alien ship began to descend. Its lights pulsed. In rhythm with Jake's mark, Lyra stepped beside him. They feel you now. They sense the bond. The sky shook with deep sounds, like a whale's call across space. Jake closed his eyes. What happens if I complete it? You become the first, Lyra said. A symbol, a message. That peace is possible. Jake looked out the door, at the terrified soldiers, at the alien ship, and at Lyra. He didn't have a choice anymore. The bond had already begun. He stepped forward, held her hand, and as their fingers touched, light exploded. Inside the house, outside the dome, across the colony. A wave of energy pulsed from them, rising high into the sky like a signal flare. The alien ship responded. Slowly, it knelt. Its wings folded in respect, and every soldier outside dropped their weapons. Jake wasn't human. Not fully. Not anymore. And the war had just changed. The air felt different after the light. The entire colony stood in stunned silence as the energy wave settled. The alien ship above no longer hovered in threat. It stood still, watching. The soldiers, once ready to shoot, had dropped their weapons and backed away slowly. Jake's heart beat like a drum inside his chest, but it didn't feel like just his heartbeat anymore. Something new was pulsing beneath his skin. He could hear things, distant heartbeats, electric currents in the wall, even Lyra's breath. Behind him, he touched his face. His skin felt warmer, softer, sharper. Lyra watched him carefully. "You crossed the threshold." Jake turned toward her. "I feel like I'm wearing someone else's body." "No," she said gently. "You're wearing your next body." Jake looked down at his palm. The glowing spiral mark had reached his shoulder now. Thin, radiant lines stretched across his chest, glowing softly under his shirt like lightning veins. Every beat of his heart pushed those lines wider. "What's happening to me?" he asked. "You're evolving," she replied. "The bond is almost complete." He stepped back, voice shaky. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't want to be part of some alien evolution." Lyra's voice remained calm. "Neither did I." Jake looked around the ruined house. The broken wall. The silent soldiers outside. The ship above them like a sleeping god. "What happens now?" she answered. "Now, your body changes. Your mind follows. Then comes the trial." Jake frowned. "Trial?" Before Lyra could speak, a sharp pain stabbed Jake's spine. He fell to one knee, gasping. The pain wasn't natural. It was fire and ice crashing through his nerves. His vision blurred. The floor spun. Images flooded his mind. Flashes of alien worlds. Cities made of crystal and air. Creatures taller than buildings with eyes like stars. And a war, a massive, burning war, where Lyra stood alone, fighting her own kind. Jake screamed. And then it stopped. He opened his eyes. Lyra was holding him, whispering something in her native language. It sounded like a song, but it wasn't comforting. It was a warning. Jake sat up slowly. "I saw everything." She nodded. "Your mind is syncing with mine. You see my past, my world, my pain." He shook his head. "I saw you, burning down a tower, killing others like you." Lyra looked away. "They were traitors. They wanted war. I wanted peace." Jake stood shakily. "And now that war is following you here?" "Yes." Suddenly, the colony's central sirens began to howl. "All citizens to bunkers immediately. High-risk anomaly detected. This is not a drill." Jake and Lyra stepped outside. Another ship had arrived, this one different. Bigger, scarier. It wasn't hers. It was black and red, shaped like a spear, with rows of jagged teeth around the engines. It wasn't here to observe. It was here to destroy. Lyra's face went pale. "That's a Karzik executioner ship." Jake didn't understand the words, but the fear in her voice said enough. "What do they want?" "To erase you. To erase me. The bond we created is illegal across 5 galaxies." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Then why did you come to Earth space?" "I ran. I thought I could control it. But the moment I saw you, the cycle activated. The new ship started deploying soldiers tall, dark humanoids with 4 arms and glowing red. Blades. Back inside," Lyra said. "Now." They rushed back into the house. Jake grabbed her arm. "We can't keep running. We need to fight." "You're not ready," she replied. "I don't care." Suddenly, Jake's body spasmed again. But this time, it didn't feel like pain. It felt like power. His back arched. His eyes turned bright silver. His skin shimmered with layered textures, like armor forming from within. And when he opened his mouth, he could hear two voices his own. And another. Lyra stepped back, eyes wide. It's happening. Too fast. Jake stood upright. What is? You're becoming a hybrid, fully. Too soon. Your body might collapse. I don't care, Jake said, voice echoing. Outside, the enemy soldiers advanced. Colony forces were overwhelmed in minutes. Energy shields failed. The colony's defense grid collapsed. People screamed in the distance as bunkers were breached. One of the alien warriors entered the yard. He raised a red-bladed staff and pointed it toward Lyra's home. Jake moved fast, unnaturally fast. In a blur, he was outside. The warrior lunged forward. Jake blocked it with his bare hand. The blade sizzled against his palm, but didn't pierce it. His skin had hardened into something beyond metal. He grabbed the weapon, ripped it away, and tossed the alien back 20 feet. He didn't even blink. Lyra ran out. Jake, stop! But Jake had changed. His eyes glowed like stars now. His voice echoed with something ancient. This is my home, he said. You're not ready, she cried. Jake turned to her, voice deepening. Then I will become ready. He leapt impossibly high and crashed into the center of the enemy squad. A wave of blue energy exploded, outward, knocking every enemy down in a single shockwave. But the power came at a cost. Jake fell to the ground. His hands trembled. His nose bled silver. Lyra reached him. You're burning yourself out. Jake gritted his teeth. It's better than hiding. No, she whispered. It's not about fighting. It's about balancing. She touched his chest. The glowing spirals slowed. His breath steadied. Let the bond guide you, she said, not your fear. Jake looked up at her. And for the first time, he truly felt her. Not just her mind, her soul. She wasn't just powerful. She was broken, and she had chosen him. From above, the black and red ship prepared to fire its main cannon. A beam of red light began charging in its belly. Jake stood. We can't stop. That, Lyra stepped beside him. Not alone. Jake reached out his hand. Then let's do it together. She took it. Their palms touched. The spiral marks aligned. And suddenly, the sky split open. A massive light shot upward from their bodies, slamming into the ship mid-charge. It didn't explode. It vanished, as if erased from existence. Silence fell again. Jake fell to his knees. His chest burned. His eyes blurred. Lyra knelt beside him. You did it, Jake whispered. No, we did. She smiled for the first time, but deep in her gaze, there was fear. Because this power, they didn't control it yet. They had only begun to understand it. And somewhere, far beyond, others were watching, waiting, because if a human and an alien could bond like this, it meant the universe would never be the same again. Jake woke up in darkness. Not the kind of darkness that comes from night, but the kind that feels alive, heavy, watching. He blinked. His body ached. Every muscle throbbed like it had been, torn and rebuilt overnight. He sat up slowly, breathing hard. The room wasn't familiar. Metal walls, faint humming. No windows, and only one dim light above him. He wasn't in Lyra's house anymore. He wasn't even on Mars Colony 3. Jake had been taken. Lyra stood in the ruins of her home, her hands shaking. She could still feel Jake, barely, faintly, as if someone had ripped half her soul away and buried it in ice. She pressed 2 fingers to her temple and focused. Jake, where are you? Speak to me. Silence, then a whisper. They took me. Her eyes snapped open. Jake, the bond wasn't broken, but it was weakening, fading. Like a dying signal, someone had caged his thoughts. And Lyra knew exactly who. "They're hunting us now," she whispered. Back in the cold metal room, Jake heard a voice. A human voice. "Awake, finally," said a man, stepping out of the shadows. He wore a black uniform with a golden emblem shaped like a claw. Jake didn't recognize it. "I'm Commander Voss. I run Blackguard Division 6. And you, Mr. Thomas, are the most dangerous man in this system right now." Jake's eyes narrowed. "Where am I?" "A safe place," Voss said, circling him. "Safe for us. Not so much for you." Jake tried to stand, but his legs gave out. Voss nodded. "Your energy spike from the bond was enormous. Nearly fried our scanners. Took 3 suppression fields just to sedate you." Jake gritted his teeth. "Let me go." Voss leaned in. "You bonded with a Class 7 exiled alien. That's treason under Terran law. And worse, you changed." He stepped back, pressing a button. A nearby screen lit up, showing footage of Jake during the fight, the glowing eyes. The speed, the strength, the energy wave. "You're not fully human anymore," Voss said. "That makes you unpredictable. Dangerous." Jake stared at him. "I didn't ask for this." Voss smiled coldly. "But you survived it. And that's exactly why we need to know what you are now." Meanwhile, Lyra was on the move. She stood in front of an ancient transmitter deep beneath the Colony 1 she had hidden when she first arrived. It was built from her people's tech, fused with human wires. She activated it. A blue light burst from the core, sending a signal through the stars. She spoke into it softly. "If any of my kind hear this, I need help. He is taken. The bond is incomplete. They will kill him before it finishes." The light faded. Now she had to wait. But not for long, because others had already heard the signal. And not all of them came as friends. In the Blackguard station, Jake was moved into a white, room-cold clinical covered in glowing panels. Voss stood with a team of scientists behind thick glass. "We're going to test your limits now," he said. A mechanical arm extended from the ceiling, firing a sharp laser toward Jake's chest. Jake flinched, but before it hit, a field of blue light erupted from his skin and blocked it. Voss raised an eyebrow. Impressive. Another machine released gas. Jake coughed and screamed as his skin began to shift, adapting, thickening into something tougher than armor. "Fascinating," said a scientist. "The bond is rewriting his DNA faster than we predicted." Jake collapsed, panting. "Why? Are you doing this?" Voss replied, "Because if there's one of you, there could be more. If aliens start bonding with humans, our entire species changes. Governments collapse. Orders dissolve. War becomes evolution." Jake looked up. "You're afraid of peace?" Voss scowled. "I'm afraid of losing control." Then he added coldly, "And I always stay in control." Back on Mars Colony 3, Lyra sat outside the ruins of her home. Suddenly, the air shimmered. 3 figures appeared, tall, cloaked in silver armor, with glowing staffs. They were her kind, but not her allies. One of them stepped forward, face hidden. "Lyra of House Vare, you have violated the Exile Pact. You activated the bond. You broke the law." Lyra stood slowly. "I did what I had to. Then prepare to be judged." They raised their staffs. Lyra didn't move. But before they could strike, something exploded behind them. A blur of blue and gold crashed through the ground, another alien knot. Armored, not marked, just glowing with raw energy. He spoke calmly. "No one touches the bonded." The trio froze. "Who are you?" one asked. The new figure replied, "A descendant of the first bond." "The path you fear is the future," Lyra gasped. "I thought your line was extinct," the figure smiled. "You called. I answered." Back in the lab, Jake was barely conscious. They had drained him, scanned him, burned him, injected him. But he had refused to scream. And something changed. A voice Lyra's entered his mind. "I'm coming for you." Jake smiled weakly. "Then hurry," he whispered, "because they're not going to let me go." Suddenly, the lights flickered. Sirens blared. Outside the station, ships. Arrived not from Earth, not from Mars. Ships bearing the mark of the bonded. The hunt had begun, but this time, Jake was the prey, and Lyra was the storm. Jake lay in the center of a glowing ring. His body was too weak to move. Every part of him ached. Machines beeped around him. Wires stabbed into his skin, pumping in chemicals he didn't recognize. His mind drifted between pain and silence. He heard voices, distant, cold. Subject is stable, said one scientist. Barely, replied another. He's resisting the full bond. Jake wanted to scream, but his lips wouldn't move. Lyra, her name echoed in his mind like a lost prayer. And then he felt it. Not a sound. Not a touch, but a presence. Soft and sharp. Light and thunder. She was close. Outside the blackguard station, the sky burned. Lyra stood at the front of a small army alien warriors, marked with spirals of light, armor that shimmered like starlight. Beside her stood the mysterious figure who had arrived in Part 5, the descendant of the first bonded. He raised a long silver blade, humming with ancient energy. "They will not hand him over," he told Lyra. "We'll have to take him." Lyra stared ahead. Her voice was calm, cold. "Then we take everything." The ground shook as their forces marched forward. Above them, the blackguard defense cannons locked into place. The war had arrived. Inside, alarms screamed. Commander Voss slammed his fist on the table. "How the hell did they find us?" "Unknown," said a tech officer. "We scrambled their frequencies. Clearly not well enough." Another soldier ran in. "Sir, our outer ring defenses just fell. They're not human. We can't stop them." Voss gritted his teeth. "Then we end this. Now," he turned to the scientists. "Force the full bond." One doctor hesitated. "Sir, he may not survive." Voss stared coldly. "I don't care. Bond him. Break him or bury him." In the lab, Jake's body seized. Lights pulsed across his skin. The bond marks flared, glowing brighter than ever before. The machines screamed. Jake's eyes flew open, but they weren't his anymore. They were pure silver, alien. The lab's lights exploded. The walls cracked. The bond was fighting back. Outside, Lyra broke through the gates. She moved like wind-fast, silent, unstoppable. Enemy soldiers raised weapons. She dropped them with waves of energy. Her arms moved like flowing water, deflecting bullets and blasts. She didn't kill, but she didn't miss either. "Where is he?" she whispered into her mind link. Jake didn't respond, not in words, but she felt him. Felt his pain, his fear, his fire. She rushed down the lower levels. Lights flickered. Smoke filled the air. And then she found the lab. Glass shattered. Wires dangled. Machines sparked. In the center, Jake floated, his body suspended in midair, glowing symbols spinning around him. His skin was no longer human. It was something else, smooth, strong, alien, and beautiful. "Jake," she cried out. His eyes turned toward her. But they didn't see. They glowed. Commander Voss stepped out from behind a shield, holding a weapon the size of a child. "This is the last chance, alien girl," he said. "Back away, or he dies. Permanently." Lyra didn't flinch. "You don't understand what he is." "I don't need to," Voss growled. "I just need to end him." He fired. But the shot never landed. Jake raised a hand, and the beam froze midair, not blocked, frozen in time. Voss gasped. Impossible, Jake spoke for the first time in hours. But his voice was doubled, human, and something else. I am bonded. The energy beam shattered like glass. Voss screamed and raised another weapon, but Jake didn't let him fire again. With a wave of his hand, the entire weapon melted. Not exploded, not burned, unmade. Lyra stepped forward, reaching out. Jake, can you hear me? He turned slowly. And for a second, just a second, she saw him. The real Jake, the tired eyes, the stubborn jaw, the soft voice that once said, I didn't ask for this. I hear you, he whispered. Then his knees gave out. He fell. Lyra caught him before he hit the ground. Easy, she said. You're okay now. No, Jake gasped. Not yet. He looked up, his eyes half human again. They activated something. I saw a memory, but it wasn't mine. Lyra tensed. What did you see? Jake's hand shook as he reached for her. I saw Earth, thousands of years ago. A ship crashed. A woman stepped out, like you. She bonded with someone. A human, just like me. Lyra froze. That was the first bond. Jake nodded. The child they created was you. Lyra staggered back. That's not possible. They kept it hidden, buried. But Voss found the records. That's why they hunted you. Not just for breaking laws, but because you are the origin of the bond. Her hands trembled. Then that means you and I were never an accident, Jake whispered. This was always meant to happen. Outside, the battle ended. The alien warriors forced the blackguard soldiers to surrender. The sky turned quiet again. Inside the lab, Jake stood with Lyra beside him. He wasn't the same, but he wasn't lost. The final layer of the bond settled across them like a warm cloak. No longer two minds, one, united, balanced, human and alien, man and woman, fate and choice. Back on the alien ship above Mars, the Elder Council watched the entire scene through a viewing orb. One of them spoke. The bond has completed. Another replied, and now the galaxy will change. A third leaned forward. What shall we call him? The eldest smiled. The bridge. That night, Jake stood beneath the stars with Lyra by his side. His hand found hers. What happens now? He asked softly. She looked into the sky. We wait. For what? For those who will come to stop us. Jake smiled faintly. Let them try. Because now, he wasn't just a human. And she wasn't just an alien. They were bonded, and their story had only just begun. 2 suns rose over Mars Colony 3, but this sunrise was not like the others. People stepped out of bunkers. They stared at the sky, mouths open, eyes wide. Ships not human hovered peacefully. Above the colony, glowing symbols floated around them, silent, watching. Down below, no one spoke. Because in the center of the colony, where the battle had ended, stood a man no longer fully human, and a woman no longer hiding what she truly was. Jake and Lyra, bonded, transformed, unstoppable. Back on Earth, the panic had already started. Emergency meetings, private calls between governments, military briefings running 24 hours. One video had leaked. Just one. It showed Jake stopping a plasma weapon emitter with his mind. He was glowing, floating, his eyes silver, his skin alien. The words under the clip said, "First human-alien hybrid confirmed." And the world went mad. Inside a hidden base. Beneath Antarctica, Earth's High Command met with the Interplanetary Council. They called it Code Genesis, the birth of a new species. One official slammed his fist on the table. He's a threat to everything we've built, Another shook her head. No, he's a symbol. We've feared aliens for so long, but maybe this is what the next step looks like. A general growled. He bonded with a fugitive. She was exiled for a reason. The room fell quiet as an AI projection appeared. It showed Jake's DNA compared to human. Conclusion: 67% genetic match. 100% unpredictable. Someone whispered, "If he stays on Mars, the people will follow him. If he comes to Earth." No one finished the sentence. On Mars, Jake stood at the edge of the colony, staring out into the desert. His hands were glowing again. Not hot, not painful, just alive. Lyra joined him. "They're watching." "I know," Jake said. "Your people, my people, everyone." "I feel like I broke something," he admitted. "A rule, a wall." She nodded. "You didn't just break it. You rewrote it." Jake turned to her. "They'll come for us, won't they? They already have." That night, Earth sent a drone. Silent, fast, shaped like a spear. It didn't land. It projected a message. Jake stepped into the field of light. A man's voice spoke from it. "You are to surrender immediately. The alien known as Lyra is to be delivered for judgment. If you refuse, Earth will consider this a declaration of rebellion." Jake stayed quiet. The message continued. "You were a citizen. Now you are something else. Choose your side." The light vanished. Jake stood still. Then he said, "I already have." In orbit, Lyra's people received a message of their own. An ancient symbol appeared in their ship. One word. He completed it. Panic spread among their ranks. Some dropped to their knees. Others grabbed weapons. One commander shouted, "He must be erased." The prophecy warned us. But a voice from the back of the ship said something else. No, he must lead. Back on Mars, Jake and Lyra gathered what remained of the colony. Some feared them, some worshipped them, and others wanted to follow them. Jake raised his voice. "I didn't choose this. I didn't want it. But now that it's happened, I won't hide." He looked around. "You've seen what we did, what we became. We aren't monsters. We protected this place. We protected you." A child stepped forward and took his hand. "Are you still human?" Jake smiled gently. "I'm something new, but I remember who I was." Lyra stood beside him. "The bond didn't erase us. It completed us." Then the sky cracked open again. Earth's warship arrived, massive, black, covered in weapons. Lyra's people sent their own ships. Twice as many. Faster, smarter, angrier. The two sides stared at each other across the sky. Any wrong move, and the stars would burn. Jake stepped into the open and raised both hands. "No one fires," he said. The soldiers aimed. The commanders shouted. The ships powered up, but he didn't move. "I'm not your enemy," Jake said. "But if you make me one, I will fight." His body glowed again. Lyra joined him. Her voice echoed with power. "Peace is possible, but you'll have to accept that the universe is changing." She looked up. "And change doesn't ask for permission." Earth didn't fire. Not that day. Neither did Lyra's people. A silent standoff began. The war that never started. But the message had already spread across every colony, every ship, every outpost. The bond was real. A human and alien had merged, and they were still standing. Months passed. Jake and Lyra disappeared into the stars, leaving Mars behind. Some say they formed a new colony. Some say they vanished into another dimension. Others believe they are still out there, waiting for the next bond to awaken. One thing is certain. The universe is no longer the same, years later. A girl stands under a violet sky on a small moon. She has glowing marks on her arms, silver in her eyes, and a voice in her mind, whispering a name she doesn't remember. Jake, the bond is awakening again. And this time, it won't be just one. It will be many, because the future belongs to the bonded.